Hi everyone, this is Noah from Global Community Byron Bay. Since 2020 is about to end, I'd like to share the story of a magical experience that I had recently as my way to express appreciation towards all of you. I'm gonna read my draft because that'll be easier. The experience of deja vu that I had in Byron Bay, Australia, a long time ago when I met a girl from Spain called Estelle, who became a trigger for me to create the English-speaking cafe and bar called Cafe Byron Bay. We're gonna go through. Around the middle of December, I started researching other so-called online English lessons that big companies organize by registering myself as a student. I've made reports from the experience, which I will share with people sometime soon. On Christmas Eve, after my family went to bed, I began taking the online lessons for the research, and this time I chose a lady who was from Serbia, who I think was in her 60s, probably. We introduced each other roughly and talked a bit. Then she said, "Your English sounds Australian. Why is that?" So I told her my story that I used to live in Australia, then moved to Japan in order to start my project of opening Cafe Byron Bay. I said, "As you may know, Japan has had a very high suicide rate for decades. My aim was to decrease the number of people who commit suicide by making them mentally happier. And in order to do that, I believed that the encounter that the English language brings to people would help. So I decided to open the English-speaking cafe and bar. It was my life purpose for a long time. Then I asked her, "Have you ever had anything like a life purpose?" Then she became silent for a while, then said, "My son was 3 years old when I first tried to commit suicide." Her face became very serious and she started sharing her experiences with me. The marriage with the person who she thought was the love of her life turned out to be a nightmare that she wouldn't have imagined at the time she got married. She divorced when the son was 3 years old, became a single mother, then went straight into a heavy depression and suffered for 7 years, fighting with the desire of wanting to commit suicide. She said, "I just wanted to disappear, but I thought that would give my son a huge scar that he would suffer forever and ruin his entire life. Losing a mother by suicide would be an awful experience to have for a child." Then she continued, "Because of that reason, I made a decision to devote my whole life to my son and used all my life and time in order to make his life happy. Since then, My life purpose has been not only to make him happy, but also to support him to have the real well-being. And because of that purpose, I haven't committed suicide. As she told me the story in a very quiet tone of voice, I listened to everything without interrupting until she finished, then said, "Can I please ask you a question, if you don't mind? You don't need to answer if you don't want to." And asked her, "Was the reason you wanted to commit suicide your son? Because he was not good enough? Or because he was a nightmare? Your life became so hard that you wanted to end your life?" Then she answered, "Absolutely not." She continued, "When I was thinking to end my life, I was not capable of thinking things straight, as my mental state was beyond anyone could imagine. My son had nothing to do with the desire that I wanted to commit suicide." When I heard that from her, I couldn't help but to instantly start crying, because that had been a question that I had been hoping to ask my mom since she died. I started sharing my story with her as well, that I lost my mom a long time ago from suicide, and I've been punishing myself for decades because of that incident. I said to her, "It's just recently, but somehow I succeeded to forgive myself and to be forgiven from what I did to her in the past. Yet still, I have this strong belief that she left me because I was not good or perfect. I still believe now that she left me because I was not good enough. Therefore, I wasn't loved by her, and she decided to leave me." Then the Serbian lady gave me a very, very serious look and said, "Why she decided to end her life was absolutely not your fault. I went through the same, and I can tell you that your mother's mental state was beyond her capacity, that she wasn't able to think about things like regular people do." She continued, "I still remember the time I wanted to end my life, that I heard this voice from demons every day telling me that I was worthless, I was the worst mother, or I was a whore, etc., etc. When your mind is filled with those voices every day, you just want to disappear from this world, because it really is suffering. But it was something that was happening in my mind, and it had nothing to do with my son. It was the same for your mother. It was absolutely not your fault." That's what she said. After that conversation, we spoke about so many things until the time was up. When we had less than a minute left, I said to her, "Thank you so much for today. I never imagined that I would have this sort of conversation with anyone through an online English lesson. Like sharing the things that I don't even tell my family or friends." I could see that her eyes were filled with tears. Then she smiled at me and said, "I never thought that I would share my story like this with someone either through a lesson." Then she said, "Merry Christmas, Noah. It really was a pleasure to talk to you." Then the time was up and she disappeared from the screen of my laptop, but I wasn't able to move from my chair as I was just stunned from what had just happened to me. I literally couldn't move. It was exactly the same feeling that I had when I shared my pain with the Spanish girl I met in Byron Bay, Australia, a long time ago. It was the total deja vu that I had one of the strongest paradigm shift that turned things completely within a second, just like that. For so many years, no matter how much my counselor or my mentor said to me, "It was not your fault that your mother left you. She loved you and she still does even now." They always say that. And I could understand that logically, but emotionally I could never get rid of my paradigm. That is to say, she left me. My mom left me because I was not good enough to be loved. Because I was not being loved. I was left alone. However, by having this Serbian lady telling me straight, "Absolutely not your fault," by looking straight in my eyes, just one sentence that she said completely shifted my paradigm that never changed for decades. I really don't know any words to describe this feeling, but it was like the evil spirit that had been surrounding me just instantly vanished. This was such a strong experience that even now, like right now, as I write and speak these sentences, I still feel like I'm in a dream or something. This whole experience brought me back to the fundamental reason as to why I started all the things I've been doing until now. A long time ago, by losing my mom, the love of my life, from suicide, completely destroyed my heart, that I went into deep depression for many years. Then I met this guy from Spain in Byron Bay, Australia. Shared both our experiences of losing a member of family to suicide. I had the strong paradigm shift and instantly got rid of the depression by knowing the fact that I wasn't the only person who suffered from such a thing. at that time I felt, whoa, like, wow, the English language is amazing. If people become able to speak English, then they become able to communicate with so many people throughout the world. Then that will help them gain encounters of someone who could understand them, even if they are mentally tired now or suffering from loneliness, like when I met the girl from Spain. Because of that reason, I didn't create an English language school or English learning materials, which I could, but an English speaking cafe and bar, Cafe Byron Bay, where people could not only improve their English, but also could gain encounters with so many beautiful people from all over the world, both inside and outside Japan. Since the day I opened Cafe Byron Bay until now, including the new online project Global Community Byron Bay that we've been running since this summer, my final goal is not to make people here fluent in English, not making myself successful or earning heaps of money for myself. If that's the case, I would have quit this job a long time ago. The reason why I do what I do is because of my experience. I know 100% that our lives dramatically change depending on what kind of people we meet and what kind of time we spend together. And I wanted to share that with people in this world. And I wanted to share the fact that being able to speak English would dramatically expand the possibility of gaining amazing encounters, like amazing encounters we could gain compared to a life of not being able to speak English. By the way, right after I made the decision to close down Cafe Byron Bay, I spoke to one of my friends about it, and she said, "So, how much money do you have left?" She was so direct. And I answered, well, I've just paid off all the 100,000 US dollars amount of debt last month and spent the budget I had to cover the sales lost through COVID-19. Sorry, it's zero. Then she said, "That's a shame. You've been worked so hard for the past 7 years and you've got nothing left then." When she said that, I smiled / laughed and said, "You have no idea, darling. All the encounters, experiences I gained from Cafe Byron Bay are totally priceless. It was totally worth it. In fact, 100,000 US dollars was fucking cheap." It's true. Back in 2013, when I loaned the money to open the cafe, I didn't know if the cafe would go well or would fail. And I'm so glad that I literally bet my life towards Cafe Byron Bay, because I took the risk. My whole life has transformed to the level that no one would ever able to imagine. Special thanks to everyone who supported us through the journey of Cafe Byron Bay, because of all of you, we succeeded to pay off the debt, and I really am not able to express how much I appreciate you all. Since the cafe is gone and I haven't been able to see most of my friends like before, which makes me sad as I miss them. But instead of whining about it, I'd like to appreciate all the miracles we shared through the magical 7 years of spending at Cafe Byron Bay, and keep working on creating, sustaining a community space where people could not only improve their English, but also gain amazing encounters with people who are still with me today. Our new online-based project, the English-speaking community, Global Community Byron Bay, has been gathering heaps of new members now, which makes me really, really excited that we are going to share this whole new journey together from now on. We've been progressing the procedure of creating the Byron Bay House too, where all members from the community can gather as well. We'll do our best to open that one as soon as the COVID-19 situation is going. Can't wait to spend magical times with you all, both online and in reality. I like it real, online is good, but reality is important. Sorry. Or if you are ever interested in joining the community, please contact our head office. Emails in the post. Sorry. The situation throughout the world hasn't settled yet, but let's get over this crisis that is definitely going to become a big part of world history. Please always remember that we are in this together. We are all in this together. We really are. Last, one of my mentors always says the word history is his story. Do you get that? History, his story means God's story. It's history, his story. I don't even know if that's true or not. Well, I trust my mentor, so I will follow, what he says. But however, one thing that I still believe that what we need is just to believe that everything is going to be alright in the end, and to keep our focus to live, love, learn, and leave a legacy for the next generation, no matter what's happening out there. So that's all for today, or this year. And thank you so much again for this year 2020, everyone. I really hope that all of you are spending great New Year's holidays wherever you may be, with the people you love. Looking forward to seeing you all again in 2021. Thank you. またねバイ